to go into spoilers for this episode. So if you don't want this episode spoiled, blink this off, go watch alternate histories, and then come back and watch us talk about this episode. So with all that said, let's start with our highs, and I'll start this show off. I like the Surrey-esque, I guess you could, if you're an Android user, a Google-esque a style to this episode, where she it's kind of like an app thing, where she's like, okay, story 1, story 2, story 3, and going over the alternate histories of what transpired in the short clip, how they killed Hitler, and that was cool. I like that. So that would be my first high.
Okay. I'm going to agree as my first high is that I like the framework of it being in like a consumer grade app.
Yeah.
Where it's like weirdly friendly and like kind of incompetent.
Yeah.
And like it is very charming to watch, kind of basically watching like a Google or Apple autocomplete try to backpedal and figure out how Jell-O happened.
Yeah.
So like that kind of non sequitur swerving is something I found very charming. Like initially, I think you'll agree, it was kind of like, oh good, it's a Kill Hitler episode. I'm sure we haven't seen a million of these low-hanging fruits.
Yeah.
But it turns out that the appeal is more in like the completely insane explanations that come out of like the suggested death.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's less about Hitler and more about like Russian autocrats with Jell-O guns.
Yeah. My second high would be the first time I watched it, like you said, low hanging fruit. I'm like, this is not funny whatsoever. Second time watching it, alright, these are pretty good. Some of them, there's only 6 of them, but some of them are just whatever. But I think story 4 and story 5, story 3 were good, especially story 5 where they explain, Hitler died because of he had a group orgy with Vietnamese prostitutes, and they explain where the Vietnamese prostitutes came from.
Not Vietnamese, Viennese.
No, what?
Viennese.
Sorry, I'm sorry, Vietnamese prostitutes, and I thought that was pretty good. Pretty good. Sorry, I just blurred the wrong race of people.
That's fine. Like, again, I'd agree that it's, the first death is, like, supposed to be very simple and humdrum.
Yeah.
Like, to kind of lead you into the idea of what's happening.
Yeah.
And then because it's 6 different ways Hitler could have died.
Yeah.
As, like, a kid kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the idea is the first one's pretty normal and mellow. And it just gets progressively more implausible. Yeah. And that's the charm of that's the actual charm of it. Yeah. Is how off the rails it actually ends up going.
Especially the alternate, like, timeline of what happened, like, because of Hitler died that way.
Oh yeah, that's the point, right? Like, it gets progressively crazier. Yeah.
My third and last high would be the animation. I found it quite clean. And I just appreciate when animation's clean like that, nice and smooth. That would be my last high.
Again, I agree. The animation was an okay style. I liked some of the facial expressions they did. There's a couple facial expressions, like when he sees the meteor coming, that's kind of like, oh, that's a really neat image. But otherwise, yeah, it's like a pretty acceptable style of animation overall. It didn't like go too far into the weird, like, Ren and Stimpy surrealist. Yeah. I think there's a couple gore scenes that are like that. Yeah. But otherwise, like, yeah, they did a pretty good job with the animation.
All right. If you think of any more highs, we can just double back and circle around. All right, let's go to our lows, and I'm going to pass you this ball first.
Okay. First low is, we've all been thinking it, and I mentioned it, the low-hanging fruit angle. Yeah. Like I said, the fact that it's about Hitler dying is kind of secondary. It's not really the big thing, but because it's where you start with your headspace, you're like already like, oh, this. Yeah. So it's like it's almost a little bit of a detriment that they chose that as the launching point instead of some other historical event.
Yeah. I would agree with you. This is really low-hanging fruit.
Well, again, I'll give them a pass because I think that ultimately that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
But I do think
you're right.
I do think that starting there is probably like immediately kind of anchors you with a bad taste.
Yeah. But like I said, I agree with you. Low-hanging fruit. That's actually going to be my one and only low. This is really low-hanging fruit. like an old tree, like having like 5,000-year-old branches and just like going like this. This like coming up and picking the plum off it. So that would be my only low.
Yep. My only other low is, like I said, they kind of broke with the animation style for a couple of deaths, like the meteor one.
Yeah.
And the cart one. So like the second one and like the fifth one? Yeah. Those two, like, they used a slightly different animation style.
Yeah.
And it just really clashed with like the aesthetic they had going.
Yeah. You're right.
And that's probably going to be my only other low, yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's see if Alternate Histories makes the grade. And for me, it kind of does. It kind of does. I'm not giving it the high grade, the highest of grades, but this is definitely, for me, a C. Just average.
Yeah.
Or slightly above average, I think.
Yeah.
For me. So does this make the grade?
Again, yeah, I'm gonna give it a similar C grade. It's like, it's okay. It was okay to watch. I was amused, but I didn't laugh, kind of thing. You know, I was intrigued, but I wasn't engaged. It didn't really do anything right, but it also really didn't do anything wrong. So there's that.
All right. Before we end things and sign off, Salt, what did you think of this episode? Yeah.
Right? A resounding overall.
All right. So we want to know what you thought of this episode down below in the comment section. And guys, we will see you all later. Say it with me, ladies and gentlemen, right here on my Say TV.